Have you ever wondered why the best chess players in the world, like Magnus, Fabi, Anish, and many others, are always very familiar with the games of the old masters? They know games played by Taraj, Capablanca, Januski, Teichmann, and many others too numerous to mention. If you're serious about your chess improvement, you have to know some games like this. Not memorize the games, but understand the ideas in this type of games. These games lay emphasis on the fundamentals and basics of chess principles, upon which all other complex ideas are built. There's a popular saying in chess that to break the rules, you first have to master the rules. So without wasting time, let's go over this game between two old masters, von Schiv and Teichmann. Not sure if I'm pronouncing the names correctly. This game was played in Berlin in 1907. Von Schiv is white and Teichmann is black. The game starts off with e4, e5, knight f3, adding pressure to the e5 pawn, knight c6 defending, bishop c4. This characterizes the Italian game. Here, black can respond with a plethora of moves. Most popular are knight f6 and bishop c5. Black goes bishop c5. c3 is played by white, and this is called the Gyoko piano. And the idea behind this move is to push d4 and gain complete central dominance by having two pawns abreast at the center of the board. Queen e7 is played. Black develops his queen to e7 and parries white's threat of central dominance. Now if white plays d4, e takes d4, c takes d4, queen takes e4, and this line wins a pawn for black because the capture comes with check. So after queen e7, white castles instead, reinforcing the threat of d4. d6 is played, strengthening black's center and anticipating the d4 push from white. d4. Now d4 is possible if black goes e takes d4, c takes d4 with the same idea of queen takes e4, rook e1 pins and wins the queen. Bishop b6 is played, a4, and this move comes with a threat from white to push a5, a6. This simple move creates a safe square for black's bishop. If black had made another move like knight f6 instead of playing a6, then d5, kicking the knight away and trapping the bishop next move. If after d5 the knight goes to a5, then bishop retreats to d3 and b4 comes next, trapping the knight. So after a4, a6, a5, tempting black to capture the pawn. As we saw in the previous line, that would be a blunder. So black steps back with his bishop, bishop a7. And in this position, white played h3. This move aims to prevent bishop g4, which keeps the knight in an uncomfortable pin. But chess masters have found that the pawns close to your king should only be moved with great caution, because this can weaken your king side and leave your king vulnerable to a kingside attack. Black continues with knight f6, developing another piece while attacking the e4 pawn. White should continue with rook e1, protecting the pawn and developing a piece, but he plays d takes e5. This is a bad move on many counts. White ignores development. He relieves the tension in the center of the board and opens up the game with this move. Open games often favor the player with better development, and as you can see, black is better developed. This move also opens the line of black's dark squared bishop, aiming directly at white's king. Now this is a very instructive moment in this game. Now would you capture with the pawn or capture with the knight? Black takes with the knight. This move places the knight in the center of the board. This knight has more influence than with the pawn in the center, especially as the knight cannot be kicked out by a pawn. The knight in the center is very strong, so white takes out the knight by playing knight takes e5. White tries to eliminate the menacing knight by capturing it, but black plays queen takes e5. Black captures back with an even stronger piece, now placed in the center of the board, the queen. Black's queen in the center of the board cannot be captured by any of white's piece. Neither can it be kicked out. White plays knight d2, not the best move. The best move was queen d3, trying to hold, but white was hoping that black would play knight takes e4, knight takes e4, queen takes e4, where rook e1 would pin and win the black queen. How does black continue given a superior position? Is there a target of attack on the white camp? Yes, there is. Black plays bishop takes h3. The pawn who moved forward a few moves ago gets destroyed first. G takes h3 is played, which is not the best move. In this position, black plays queen g3, entering white's camp with a devastating check. The black queen cannot be captured because of the pin on the f pawn. King h1, only move. Queen takes h3. Black snatches another pawn on the way, with check, opening up the king even more. King g1, knight g4, threatening mate in one move. Knight f3, the only move that defends and stops mate in one move. Queen g3, check. King h1. How does black finish white off? In this position, black played bishop takes f2, and white resigned. The threat is queen h3, and after the knight blocks, queen takes the knight and it will be checkmate. And also if white plays rook takes bishop, knight takes rook, and it's checkmate. So from this game, you can see the importance of following chess principles. While black steadily developed his pieces, white made perfunctory and ordinary moves. White ignored development and created weaknesses on his king side by pushing his h-pawn. Black was able to punish white because of these infringements in chess principles. Now you know what to do when your opponent doesn't follow chess principles. In this final position though, the game is actually drawn. So this game was played in 1907, and back then there were no chess engines. So there was no way to properly analyze the position to know if it was objectively drawn, won, or lost. So in this position, white has a move to draw the game. If you turn on the engine, you see that the position is actually drawn 0-0-0. So the bishop sacrifices itself on f7, and if the king takes, the queen comes in with check, and after the king moves, the bishop checks, the king moves again, queen checks, king moves, and this is repetition from the engine. There are a lot of interesting lines in this position. You can check them out on your own. And this is another point to gain from this video, that you don't just mentally resign from positions. Grandmasters don't do that. What they do is they try to look for resources, defensive resources, to save the position. And in this game, there was a resource in this position, bishop takes f7, and white would have drawn with proper play. Thanks for watching this video, and see you on the next one.